Good morning. Wow, you are one day away from the AP test, which is probably scary and also a relief that it's coming so soon. Tomorrow, I'm going to post a video early in the morning, making sure that you have everything you need for the AP test. So if you do not have the AP test tomorrow, if you're not one of the 5 that are taking it, you have a day off. Congratulations. If you really want to, you can prepare for the final that's happening next week, which will happen next week, Thursday and Friday. That is all posted on Thursday, but it will be due on Friday. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, we will be doing a review and then kind of playing a Jeopardy game to make sure that you're ready for the final. So, and I think I'm also going to post an extra credit packet for Friday, tomorrow, so that you have a chance to kind of get some extra points. So maybe we won't have a review. We'll just do the extra credit packet to review, and then we'll play Jeopardy. And that's a reasonable amount of work, because you'll already be working on the extra credit packet if you want to, boost your grade. So, we're going to do the last free response question today. This is a bigger one. So this is one that, see how it said that it would be about 25 minutes? So that's very, very similar to the larger problem that you'll be doing tomorrow if you're taking it. So I'm going to go through it pretty thoroughly. Here we go. Also, I'll put out a video tomorrow that says, like, I don't know if I finished talking about this, but that gives you, like, last minute, like, are you sure you have this? Are you sure you have this? You might want to have this kind of stuff. So that you're definitely ready. So make sure you watch that tomorrow morning, before, not like 5 minutes before the exam, but you have to be ready. Also, you should have gotten an email by now with your invite to the exam. So if you did not get that, then you need to talk to me immediately about that. Okay. So it says that the United States has a coin called a penny. Who knew? Learn something new every day. Banks often use a machine to count and package them in rolls of 50, and if it begins putting fewer than 50 cents in each roll, apparently that's a big problem. So H sub O in this case is that the machine is doing its job. It is equal to 50 pennies every time, and H sub A is that it is fewer than 50 every time. So for testing the hypothesis above, describe what a type 1-2 error would be, or type 2 error would be, and describe a consequence. Okay, so this is type 1 and type 2 errors are a good thing to make sure that you are aware of in your notes, that you don't have to dig for. But the basic rule with a type 2 error is that the null is accepted. But it shouldn't have been. So that's not enough. You have to write it in the context of the problem. So I'm going to go back to the problem and say, so then they claimed that the machine was working accurately. But in reality, it's putting fewer than 50 pennies in a roll. All right. Consequence is that the machine would not be fixed because no one would know that it's malfunctioning. sad. Okay. Then it says that the roll, that each penny, it has a mean of 2.5 grams and a standard deviation of 0.04. And so assuming that there are 50 pennies in a roll, what's the new distribution? Anytime they say describe the distribution, they mean talk about the mean and talk about the standard deviation. And you should say that this is going to be a normal distribution because, normally you can imagine it that most of the time that it would be average, and then there's some that would weigh a little less and some that would weigh a little more. Because human beings aren't perfect. So the mean is 2.5 times, there's 50 of them. And that makes 125 grams. Always remember to label your answers. For sigma, remember you can only compare the variances, so make sure that you take the variance, which is squaring the sigma, and then multiplying that by 50. And then to get back down to standard deviation, you have to do a big square root over all of it, and that gets 0.2828 grams. Always remember that you need to do 4 decimal places for this exam. By the way, if you're taking the exam tomorrow, I'm going to be calling your parents today and talking to them about what it's going to be like tomorrow. Make sure that you're ready to go. So I really hope you've done that demo that you're supposed to do, because I'm going to be tattling on you today, essentially, if you didn't. So watch out. Okay, so the inspector is going to use the following rules. If the total weight of the roll of pennies is 124 grams or less, I will conclude that the roll contains fewer than 50 pennies. Otherwise, I will conclude that the roll contains 50 pennies. Okay. So, what's the probability that it will contain fewer than 50 pennies? Well, this is my x right here. This looks like an x minus mu over sigma kind of problem, and here's my x, so it's 124. And if we look back at the last problem I did, my mean was 125, and my standard deviation was 0.2828. That gets me a z-score of negative 3.54. And then essentially I'm trying to figure out what are the chances that the inspector will conclude that that selected roll contains fewer than 50 pennies. So we're looking for the area to the left of that. You know that your chart goes to negative 3.5 and positive 3.5, so this one's kind of off the chart. But you don't really want to say that it's approximately 0 because it's really close to that negative 3.5. So if you go to your calculator